The old Winchester might have been made in USA. Ted Vincent placed it in a tree overlooking the estate's pool. Wearing rubber gloves and using a small monocle, Ted was just 70 yards from the pool where several lounge chairs were set up. The pool was on the estate of Byron Diamond, a millionaire entrepreneur. The tree was outside the estate, but close enough. Byron Diamond employed Ted's wife, Kara, a beautiful woman with dark brown hair. She planned to spend the weekend at Diamond's estate, as she had for the past 4 weekends. She openly told Ted about her intention to have a physical relationship with her boss when Diamond's wife, Miranda, did charity work. Ted didn't know if Miranda was aware of Kara's visits, but the estate staff likely knew. Diamond and Kara walked toward the pool, with Diamond in swim trunks and Kara in a strip and skimpy top. This wasn't the first time Ted had seen them like this. Over the past weeks, he had carefully observed the estate. Now he felt it was time to decide the fate of the two lovers. Diamond's model-like good looks and muscular physique made a striking couple with Kara. Ted could somewhat understand why Kara was attracted to Diamond, but understanding didn't mean acceptance. From the moment she announced her intentions, he was firmly against it. Ted and Kara, both 37, had been married for 16 years and had twin daughters, Claire and Beth, who were 15 and resembled their mother. The girls were currently at Ted's parents' house before heading to football camp. Ted was supposedly biking with his best friend, Miles Jacobs, his business partner and friend since first grade. Their company grew, and both men became wealthy. Miles was married to Robin, his childhood love. Robin had been a childhood sweetheart of both Miles and Ted, but Miles won her heart. Ted never understood why, as he and Miles were similar in appearance. Ted accepted it and found Kara in college, who was all he ever needed. A few months ago, Miles waited on the bike path some distance away while Kara was about to get a big surprise. Ted saw Kara and Diamond embrace, and the hug turned into a kiss. As soon as they broke the kiss and Kara walked away, Diamond's chest exploded. His body pulled away from Kara, who screamed and fell to the ground. Blood was everywhere. She crawled to the pool and dived in. Ted had seen enough. He climbed down from the tree, ran up the hill, and threw the rifle into the bushes. He removed the stock cover and gloves, stuffed them into a plastic bag on his belt, and jogged to his bike. He rode to the main bike path and, after ensuring no one was nearby, biked about 3 miles to join Miles. They continued their ride, and about 6 miles later, Ted disposed of the plastic bag in a dumpster. They finished their ride and arrived at Miles's house. The rifle didn't concern Ted. He assumed the police would find it, but they wouldn't get any DNA. He had owned the rifle for many years, having gotten it from a dying acquaintance. There were 2 rifles and 2 pistols. The other rifle was from World War II. Besides the rifle used today, the other weapons were in Ted's weapons safe. This rifle was never in the safe. Ted kept it hidden in the garage closet. When Kara announced her intention to have an affair with Diamond, Ted immediately thought of the rifle. He took her to his country property over the next week to ensure she shot accurately. After some adjustments, the rifle was ready. When they arrived at Miles's house, Robin greeted them with cold beers, asking, "How was the trip, guys?" Miles replied, "It was great. The track wasn't crowded, and we had a good workout, about 4 hours." Robin, a pleasant-looking woman with dark hair, hugged them both. Ted found her attractive, though she was Miles's wife. After some beers and a shower, they sat by the pool. Robin asked Ted, "How long do you think this thing with Kara will last?" She knew about Kara's weekend activities. Ted had confided in them, and while Robin thought he should kick Kara out immediately, Miles suggested waiting to protect their business and children. Ted had already made up his mind. He despised men who slept with others' wives, especially his own. Ted responded to Robin, "I have no idea. But Robin, I hope to continue my relationship with Nora." Robin repeated, "I still think it's time for you to leave Kara." Robin and Kara were never close, though their families communicated. Miles' sons, George and Ben, were close in age to Ted's twins. Despite social gatherings going well, Kara and Robin moved in different circles. Kara had her country club friends, while Robin was active in the Democratic Party and book clubs. Kara's job changed when she was hired by Diamond 2 years ago, while Robin stayed at her old company. As Ted sat there, he reflected on recent events and Kara's betrayal. For 20 months, he had no idea there was a problem. Their bed life was unchanged, and Kara was present at their daughter's soccer games. He was shocked when Kara confessed her intentions, late one night, saying, "Ted, I don't want to, but I'm going to do something. I hope this doesn't ruin things. I love you." Ted, usually stoic, remained calm. Kara continued. Byron and I have developed a crush. His wife is away every weekend. I'll visit him starting this Friday. I don't know when it will stop. Ted didn't react outwardly. Internally, he knew he couldn't stop her and wouldn't try. He also knew Diamond was as good as dead. So was their marriage. He hadn't decided what to do with Kara yet. He loved her, but her negative qualities had peaked. Remembering the rifle in the garage, he closed his thoughts. Kara was startled when Ted smiled after about a minute. His genuine smile, which was unsettling to her, was triggered by thoughts of the rifle. Do you find this funny? She asked heatedly. Not at all, he replied with a smile. His smile sent a shiver down her spine. Ted stood up and asked, Have you already had lovemaking? Kara hesitated. No, just a few kisses. I'll sleep in the guest house. Let me know when you're done with the rich boy. Then we'll see what's left. Ted walked upstairs to pack for the night. Kara, sitting in the living room, felt unhappy with the turn of events, but was determined to go through with her plans. It was Wednesday, and she was eagerly anticipating her weekend with Byron, who was younger, rich, educated, and well-built. She realized her attraction after seeing him shirtless in the office gym. Kara expected the affair to last a few months, maybe leading to something more permanent. She loved Ted and appreciated the life he provided, but she was restless and very attracted to Byron. She was sure she and Ted would work it out eventually. Ted, unable to sleep that Wednesday night, had a lot on his mind. The twins were staying with friends for the weekend, giving him time to think and check his weapons. On Thursday, he went to his usual cafe for lunch, where he sometimes dined with Nora Hansen, a young woman with an athletic figure and dark hair. Nora reminded Ted of Robin in both appearance and behavior. They had been flirting for weeks, but Ted had no plans to pursue her until Kara announced her affair. That Thursday, Ted sat next to Nora in the booth instead of across from her. Nora, used to men hitting on her, noticed the change and was pleased. She had been saving a place for him for 2 weeks, hoping he'd take the hint. Nora knew Ted was married, but found him tempting. She turned to him and gave an eliminator smile. Something's changed, huh? Ted smiled. Yeah, my wife decided to fool around with her boss. Nora put her hand on his thigh. And I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner and dance on Friday night. Oh, Ted, I'd really like that, she said softly. Ted grinned, feeling foolish. She patted his cheek. He was hard as a rock and struggled to control himself. She stroked his cheek and he kissed her lightly on the lips. I better not stay here. We could be arrested. They exchanged phone numbers. Returning to work, Ted felt like a schoolboy. Some employees noticed his change. Kara noticed too when he walked briskly home. Again, he surprised her. I made lasagna and salad, she said, considering it a peace offering. She expected Ted to take her affair hard, so his response was unexpected. Thank you. I'm hungry. His mood had clearly improved. Kara was suspicious and wondered if he had already moved on. After washing his face, they sat down to eat. Kara made up her mind. I'm going to his house tomorrow. He glanced at her. It's not too late to stop, Kara. I believe you'll regret this. She hesitated. This was a different Ted. For a moment, she felt love for him, but struggled with it. I need this, Ted. He smiled. I don't think we use the word need the same way, Kara. She cleared the plates. I hope you see your path clearly and will go to bed with me tonight. No. You'll see me when you're done with the rich boy. It will be clear then. Kara was disappointed. She had envisioned a pleasant night of lovemaking to end this phase of their marriage amicably. But this wasn't destined to happen. She realized she was done with it. Ted paused before heading to the guest house. Maybe something will come back then, Kara, but most likely nothing. He walked out the door. Kara sat at the table, realizing she was risking her marriage. She had hoped things might return to normal after the affair ended, but now knew that was naive. Continuing with Byron would change her life unpredictably. She almost decided to end it, but doubted Ted would ever see her the same. She decided to proceed. Friday evening, Kara packed her bag before work, including a new tight-fitting nightgown. She was nervous, but thrilled when Byron kissed her in his office. They left work separately to avoid suspicion. Kara arrived at the estate at 6. Byron welcomed her warmly, kissing her as soon as the door closed. Excited, she hurried upstairs to the master bedroom. Byron struggled to carry her, a reminder that he wasn't as strong as Ted. In the bedroom, they quickly undressed and had intense, thrilling lovemaking. Though brief, it was satisfying. Kara believed they could reach new heights together, Byron was pleased, feeling he'd conquered her. Kara decided to excite him again, and after some time, they had lovemaking once more. Later, they went downstairs for dinner, where a feast awaited. "Did you like it?" Byron asked. "Certainly. And you?" Kara replied. "The very best," Byron said. Kara sang "Simply the Best," better than all the rest, feeling a pang of guilt as it was a song she and Ted often sang. After dinner, they watched a romantic movie in the bedroom. Byron wanted more lovemaking, but Kara insisted on finishing the movie first. They had lovemaking again, this time in a more subdued manner. Kara was impressed Byron could manage 3 times, though the third time was less impressive. Ted picked Nora up from her apartment in his classic MGB convertible, one of his hobbies. Nora was delighted with the ride, and with Ted, who looked great in his blue suit. Ted was equally delighted with her stunning dark red dress with a plunging neckline. They went to the Willington Hotel for a wonderful dinner, then danced nearby. Ted, always athletic, was a good dancer, one of the things he liked about Kara. Nora, light on her feet and sensual in her movements, captivated Ted. She reminded him more and more of Robin, but younger and a better dancer. They danced until they both suddenly wanted to find another place. Nora got into the car and looked at him. "Take me to your home." Ted controlled himself during the drive and drove carefully. 15 minutes later, he opened the front door and let Nora in. They couldn't make it out of the living room. Nora quickly undressed and Ted followed suit. Standing, they stared at each other before Nora attacked, throwing Ted onto the sofa. They began with such intensity and zeal as never before. In the morning, they woke to sunlight, showered together, and Ted prepared breakfast. Nora watched him, feeling in love but cautious. As he served eggs and toast, she said, "I'm in love with you, Ted. I just have to say it." Ted, surprised, thought about it and replied, "I believe the feeling is mutual. Let it be." Hard to believe so fast. "They're done with the eggs now?" "What?" asked Nora. Ted smiled. "Guess," he said, picking her up again. Kara and Ted's weekend continued as it began. Kara was pleased with Byron, who gave her a lot of pleasure. Ted felt head over heels for Nora. On Sunday afternoon, Kara and Byron agreed to see each other the next weekend. Ted and Nora began thinking about their future. They set a date for next Friday, depending on Kara's plans, and agreed to meet for lunch daily. Ted dropped Nora off at her apartment. Despite her youth, she was a lawyer and could afford good housing. Meanwhile, Kara drove home from Byron's. Ted had just returned when she walked through the door. They stared at each other, and Ted couldn't help but smile. Kara noticed. "How was your weekend? Alone? How is Richie Rich?" Ted grinned. If Kara had been honest, she would have said Byron was exciting, but Ted was better. Instead, she said, "He was great. I'll be leaving again next week. The girls won't be back until Sunday evening." She knew her plan had gone wrong. Ted was too happy. She also felt nervous about how to tell the girls what was happening. For dinner, they ordered Chinese food. Ted met Nora for lunch every day during the week. They planned to go to a concert on Friday and spend the weekend at her house. Ted and Kara communicated mechanically throughout the week. At work, Kara and Byron were careful, and at home, she hoped Ted would soften and take her back. No chance. Every night, he slept in the guest house. In the evenings, he watched baseball or read, not talking to Kara. He basically ignored her. Their marriage was frozen. While in the guest house, he walked through the backyard, looking around the Diamond estate. Using Google Maps and night vision goggles, he began building a mental diagram of the place. He also bought a device that amplified sound directionally with cash. The following weekend, Ted and Nora had a great time, but then she had to leave for Sunday lunch with her parents. So, in the morning, they had their last meeting, and she left. Ted went to the Diamond estate and gathered more information. He had seen Diamond and Kara at the pool many times. It seemed to be where they spent a lot of time. He found that the directional device worked fine, allowing him to overhear some of their conversations. He found them boring. By the third week, the twins were home. They noticed their parents were effectively separated. At dinner that Tuesday, Claire asked, "Mom, Dad, what's going on?" Kara said, "We have some problems. We'll deal with it. Don't worry." The girls then looked at Ted. He shook his head. "The truth is, your mother decided to have physical relations with her boss, so I moved into the guest house. What will happen long-term hasn't been decided." Kara was angry at Ted for putting it that way. However, there was nothing to object to. She said, "I felt that I needed—" Beth interrupted. "A new man. Looks like it. How could you, Mom?" Kara stood up and ran upstairs. Are you getting divorced, Dad? Asked Claire. I don't know. Nothing's decided yet. But can you keep your mouths shut? The girls answered in unison. Yes. Do you promise? Yes. I have a new friend I'll introduce to you this weekend when Mom goes to her new boyfriend. The twins were smart. Claire said, You mean you have someone you want us to meet? So this must be very serious, right? Maybe. I mean, until Mom left, I never would have met Nora, but Mom went and so did I. And who knows who will end up with whom? Beth grinned. Claire asked, How did you manage to work so quickly, Dad? This doesn't sound like you. I kind of knew Nora from lunches. Maybe I felt insecure or like I didn't measure up. And it seemed to me that Nora would like to go on a date with me. She really wanted this. The girls fell into a thoughtful and uncomfortable silence. Ted let them think. Finally, he asked, Anything else at the moment? Claire asked, When? When will we meet her? I'll organize something for this weekend. You have a game on Saturday afternoon, right? Yes. Maybe Nora and I will come. This is serious, Dad. You're not ashamed to appear with her in front of our friend's parents. Ted wasn't surprised the girls were so perceptive. He believed they could figure this out. Nothing is set in stone now. I like this woman, and your mother ruined our marriage, but the situation is unpredictable. They left it at that. Kara never came downstairs. On Friday, she returned to Diamond's estate. She had a pleasant weekend, but sometimes got bored. Byron's physical repertoire was more limited than Ted's. Kara tried to introduce something new, but he wasn't receptive. Byron could manage at best 3 times a day, night, and he was quick and didn't like cuddling. This left a lot of time when they weren't having lovemaking. Since their affair was supposed to be secret, they couldn't go out. So they stayed at the estate. It was big enough for hiking, and they had a pool where they spent a lot of time. That same weekend, Ted took Nora dancing again, this time to a local club. One of her friends, Laura Blake, was there, and Ted was introduced to her. In reality, Ted had no intention of keeping his relationship with Nora a secret. They danced amazingly, then went back to Nora's. Ted left at 1 a.m. The twins were waiting for him. A wide smile appeared on Ted's face when he saw them in the living room. You girls have a game tomorrow. You should get some sleep. Beth said, We were waiting for you. Claire added, I see you have a big smile. I bet you. Ted interrupted. Never mind, go to sleep. Game at 10. Nora will come with us. Nora arrived at 8:30. She was nervous. Ted was nervous. The twins were nervous and insecure. When Ted opened the door and let Nora in, there was a long pause where no one said a word. Nora looked great. Finally, Ted said, Nora, this is Claire and this is Beth. Nora smiled. Hello. I think it's a little awkward, but maybe we have something in common. I played football in college, on the attack. Where? Asked Beth. Notre Dame, Nora said. Ted was stunned, and the girls were impressed. Beth, the troublemaker, had a soccer ball in her hands. She tossed it to Nora, who skillfully picked it up with her right foot and threw it back with her knee. Beth caught the ball. Nora smiled, and Beth and Claire smiled back. Ted said, then let's go. The girls were good at soccer. They usually dominated the center of the field, trying to control the game. Ted and Nora watched. Ted was watching closely, while Nora could hardly contain her excitement, jumping up and down in her seat. The other parents noticed her enthusiasm. The game was tense and exciting, with the other team taking a 2-goal lead, but the home team fought back and equalized. 2 minutes before the end, the opposing coach made a substitution. Beth stood next to Nora, who called her over and said, They will try to pass by your side. Cut through and leave. Beth nodded, and Nora's analysis was accurate. Beth intercepted the pass and sped towards the goal. Ted jumped up, but Nora remained calm. Beth faked left, drew the goalie out, and kicked the ball into the net. The game ended immediately after this score. Ted and the girls celebrated with other parents. Nora stepped back, and when the celebration died down, Beth asked her, How did you know? Nora laughed. I watched the game. I see the game when I watch. She patted Beth's hand. Several parents noticed the interaction. Joan Drake asked Ted, Is she the twins' coach? Ted replied, No, she's my friend, but she played this game. The girls' coach, Lena Holmes, said, Of course I remember her. She played for Notre Dame. On the attack. Ted called Nora over and introduced her to everyone. Nobody asked any awkward questions. In the car on the way home, Claire said, Dad, you can guess what they're all wondering. Ted laughed. Let them. The 4 of them stopped for pizza. Then Ted and Nora went to her house for about 3 hours. They returned with Chinese dinner. Ted was a bit worried about the food choice. After dinner, they had another long conversation about soccer. Beth Googled Nora and learned about her college career. Nora had studied there for 3 years. Around 9 p.m., there was an awkward silence. Then Ted said, "Girls, Nora and I are heading to the guest house." Beth said, "Be quiet, please." Nora laughed. "I promise to do my best." After Nora and Ted left, the girls discussed everything. They really liked Nora and saw how much their father liked her. They felt like their family life was over. It was an abrupt transition. Claire said, "It's not Dad's fault, is it? Mom left to study lovemaking with this idiot. I really hate her for this." "Me too." "I can only guess, but how could she just do that?" "Selfishness, that's all. We have to accept the change, Claire. Maybe things won't be so bad. I like Nora. Dad likes her too. But they haven't known each other long, right? So we don't know. Maybe Mom and Dad will make peace." "Maybe," Beth said dryly. They went upstairs, watched a video, and then fell asleep. Ted and Nora had a wonderful time again. In the morning, they prepared breakfast for 4. Nora set up an impromptu soccer lesson for the twins in the backyard. Then she had to visit her mom and dad. Ted and the twins had a long discussion about how to proceed. Ted tried to reassure them about their mother and told them that even if there was a divorce, they would stay in the house. He also assured them they would still have a lot of contact with both parents if they separated. They discussed how the girls should react to Kara, and Ted urged them to be polite. Then Kara appeared at the door, creating another awkward moment with everyone staring at her. Kara said, "I want you girls to know that I love you, and I love Dad too. This is true." Beth calmly replied, "Mom, that's what you say, but what you're doing says otherwise. I can't explain this to you. I just needed it. This won't last forever." Claire said, "Oh, I'm not so sure about this." Kara walked into the kitchen saying she was going to make dinner. The other 3 looked at each other. Nobody said much. Dinner was delicious but stressful. Kara asked about the soccer game. Claire said, "Beth scored the winning goal. Tell her." After an awkward silence, Ted said, "Beth anticipated the pass and intercepted it. She went all the way and scored past the goalie." Kara praised the girls. Ted cleared the table and the girls went to their rooms. He went to the guest house. Kara said, "Ted, understand. I mean, you could spend the night here." "Never! Are you done with this idiot?" "I don't know. Maybe it wasn't what I hoped for. We stayed home all weekend." "You know, Kara, people will find out. They already know something is wrong. I don't want to embarrass you. And he doesn't want his wife to know." "It's a pity, Ted. A bit more, and it will end." "Kara, please understand. You ruined our marriage. It's over between us. So stay as long as you want. Just remember, he is all you have now." Kara was shocked by this frank statement. She sobbed once and ran upstairs. By morning, she decided to act normally. She had to go to work, and so did Ted. The girls were preparing for a trip to their grandparents' house, and then to an outdoor camp. Ted had lunch with Nora and explained what happened after she left. Then he went home to help the twins pack their things. Kara's plans for the day were disrupted when her friend Joan called. "Kara, who was that nice young woman who came to the football game with Ted?" Kara paused. "Which young woman?" "Oh, understand she's a former soccer player. Very pretty. We were all wondering where you were." "Damn it. Calm down, Kara. She and Ted didn't... There weren't any obvious signs, you know." "Oh, no? Well, they didn't tell me anything about her. What is her name?" "Nora." "Kara, where have you been? I heard something I can't believe." "Like what? Joan? Like the fact that you left Ted for your boss." "Not true. I didn't leave him." "Well, Jane Bright has a cousin at the club who works for Mr. Diamond in his house. The cousin said that on weekends when his wife is away, he has a woman there." "Crap. So it's you. God, Kara. God." "This shouldn't last too long, Joan. Only on weekends." "You're stupid. Ted already has another woman, and guess what? I don't blame him. She's younger and hottest. Your daughters seem to be already familiar with her. You screwed up royally." Kara was truly shocked. That evening, she and Ted dropped the girls off at his parents' house. The ride home was silent, but when they entered the house, Kara confronted Ted and slapped him. He stepped back. "What the hell, you replaced me, you fool? You're complaining? What did you expect? You must have made preparations for my departure. How long have you been making fun of me?" "I only knew her from the cafe. We didn't even kiss until you went crazy with your boss. So screw you, cow." Kara stormed away. Ted went to the guest house, then walked out the back door. Wearing dark clothes, he found a good place to observe Diamond from a tree. That night, he intended to test a sound amplification device. He set it up and waited until he saw Diamond and his wife on the deck overlooking the pool. They sat and drank wine. As he joined their discussion, he heard Diamond say, "And it won't last long." "You have your boy toy," Miranda replied. "Only because you started it. This is like the fourth or fifth available girl." Diamond said, "I support your style, Mira. Don't ruin it." "Why are they always married? Do their husbands know?" "Yes, I force them to tell their husbands about it. I like it better this way. When we have social events at our company, I smile at all the idiots." "Someday, boy, you will cross the wrong person." "Nope. What will they do? They may divorce their wife, but they all have children, so they don't do it. They just accept it." "So what if they end up getting divorced?" "It's a pity. You're one of the biggest pricks in the world." "Ugh, a real idiot." "But I'm good in bed, right?" Miranda laughed. "What do you think? My Deshaun is better." "Ha, nonsense." Diamond laughed. The conversation trailed off. Ted got down and walked away. Until this moment, Ted had thought dealing with Diamond was unnecessary and risky. But now he had Nora. Kara and her antics made it possible. Maybe he thought he should thank Diamond, but the conversation he just overheard reignited his burning anger. The next day, he walked into Miles's office, and they talked. Nora spent the weekend with Ted and the girls. The couple slept in the guest house, but otherwise interacted with the twins almost like a family. After Saturday's game, there were more soccer lessons. Saturday night, Ted and Nora had a fantastic time in bed as usual. As they lay in bed, Nora asked, "What happens next, Ted? I mean, maybe it's weird to ask this, but are we exclusive?" Ted laughed. "You mean, do I sleep with my wife on the side?" Nora giggled. "Yes. I'm absolutely not going to do this. I'm a one-woman man. You can be that woman if you want. I feel like I'm ruining my marriage. You two have been together for so long. Not you. Once Kara went to her boss, I was done with her after a few hours. Very quickly, in fact. I felt it freeing, and I benefited. I'm happy with it." The next morning, they had another fun run and then went to prepare breakfast. Nora went to her parents' house a little early to help her mother with an unusual cake. Ted told the girls he was going for a bike ride with Miles and that he'd see them later. He hugged each one tightly and left. Earlier that week, Ted had prepared the rifle and left it by the tree, loaded and wrapped. As he hid his bike and headed there, he half hoped someone would take it, but everything was in place. He had serious doubts even when he was backed into a corner. But he kept remembering the conversation this prick had with his wife Miranda, and then he saw his almost undressed wife kissing the guy. He thought, screw this, it's time to end this crap. As Ted and Miles sat drinking beer after the bike ride, Robin ran out of the house. "I saw it on TV. Diamond was shot. He is dead. Diamond is dead." Ted quickly stood up. "What about Kara? They said that a woman was present, but she was not injured." Miles exclaimed, "Oh my God." He took out his phone and turned on the newsfeed. Miles kept Ted's cell phone with him the entire trip. It was in his belt bag. He waited until Robin looked at his phone before handing Ted the phone. But Robin saw it. She didn't think much of it at the time. Ted tried to call Kara. No answer. He said, "I better go home. Maybe someone called." He left on a bicycle. When he returned home, the landline phone was ringing. "Hello, is this Ted Vincent?" "Yes. This is Detective Harvey from APD. There was a shooting, but your wife was not injured." "You're talking about Diamond? My friend told me what happened." "I can't comment on this. Mr. Diamond is dead. Your wife is here at the station. She is completely shocked. Can you come get her?" "Certainly. Where?" "Main office, 3rd floor. Please contact the front desk." Ted put on shorts and a t-shirt over his cycling gear. He had a wallet and phone in his fanny pack. He grabbed the car keys and drove off, unsure of what to expect. He was told he could see Kara after the conversation. Detective Harvey, an older fit white guy with gray hair, had a partner, Stella Blaine, an attractive and tall brunette. Ted sat with them in a small room and answered all their questions. They asked about his day, and he recounted the bike ride and all. They then asked if he knew Kara was involved with Diamond. "Yes." "How did you feel about this?" asked Harvey. "I didn't like it, but I moved on." "What does that mean?" "I have another interest, another woman." "Oh, so you have an open marriage?" No. As soon as she announced it, that's how I reacted." "Do you have a weapon?" "Yes, I have a weapon safe. We'll have to look into it." "Fine. We'll go home together." The police gathered details about the bike ride, addresses, and who Ted met with. Then they left him in a small room for a while. The door was locked. Ted just sat there looking at his phone. About 15 minutes later, Harvey returned and asked if they could look at his phone. Ted said, "I have work-related stuff on my phone that I don't want public, nothing illegal. We could get a warrant." He decided to let them take the phone. He was told it would take 30 minutes. Then they took him to Kara. She was wearing a t-shirt and jeans, not hers. She looked scared. Ted said, "Kara, are you okay?" "No, God, he got shot. I was right there. There was blood everywhere." "I'm sorry, Kara. Once they're done with my phone, I can take you home." "Okay, Ted." Pause. "Ted, I regret all of this, but we can talk on the way home." He hugged her. Soon the detective brought the phone and the couple left the station. When they were in the car, Kara asked, "Ted, did you shoot him?" "No, maybe I don't regret that he was liquidated, but I didn't do it." Kara stared at him. "I know you. You could have. But you found the right girl, so you didn't. Did you see him get shot?" "No. I heard a shot, and it all exploded." Now she was crying. She was sobbing. Ted pulled the SUV into the driveway. He escorted Kara inside and led the arriving police officers to the weapon safe. They examined the weapon and asked about the ammunition. There was an unopened box of .30 caliber ammunition. They were not interested in other ammunition. When they got back outside, Harvey turned to Ted and said, "We'll take DNA and fingerprints from the rifle we have. I would advise you not to interfere with this, Mr. Vincent." "Well, I don't know about any weapons, and I didn't shoot anyone." "Fine, see you." Ted went inside to deal with his wife. However, before doing this, he called Nora and told her what had happened. She knew some details. He asked if she would come over later, once Kara had calmed down. Then he called his parents and daughters. They discussed the events of the past day for a long time. One question was whether the twins would go to outdoor camp next week. It was decided that they should leave. To avoid any confusion, Kara took a long shower. Ted inquired about her mental state. Not surprisingly, she was distressed. He was waiting for her when she came out in a robe. "It must be difficult. Have you cleaned up enough?" She smiled. "No, but the water ran out." "Yes, I guessed. What can I do for you?" "Well, maybe we can order pizza. I'm starving." Ted did it. Kara looked at Ted over her pizza. "I was thinking about you. I'm not so sure you're innocent. Where have you been today?" "On a bike ride with Miles. I told the cops." "He might lie for you." "Yeah, but he doesn't have to lie. I admit I have some anger issues at times, but I didn't shoot that idiot. He was an idiot." "You were right about that." "Are you going to divorce me?" "Maybe. I mean, you threw it in my face. Kara, after so many years, you needed some rich boy. I agree he was good looking. He was good." "Honestly, Ted, he wasn't. He didn't really live up to his looks." "Yeah, it's true. You have some kind of woman, Nora. I was told she's younger and more attractive." "Yes, she is quite attractive and athletic. She played soccer in college." "And she just picked you up right away?" "I bet you mastered it before I had Byron." "No, maybe around the same time. First we went dancing. Why? Are you interested?" "I probably won't have a job." "You will leave me. I know I have to live, and we have a marriage contract." "I won't let you starve, and maybe you'll have a job." "Maybe." "Miranda probably isn't too happy with me." Ted's phone rang. It was Nora. He walked into the living room. Kara followed him. From a distance, she heard their declarations of love. If she had been wearing shoes, she would have kicked herself. As Ted tried to persuade Nora not to come, Kara entered the room. "Let her come, Ted. I think it's time for us to meet." 30 minutes later, the doorbell rang and Ted let Nora in. Kara was already dressed. She looked tired, but still attractive. The two women looked at each other for what must have been a full minute. Then Nora said, "I'm sorry. You must be very shocked." "Thank you. This is true. It's all so confusing. You took my husband." "You left him. It is not my fault." They were about 10 feet apart. Ted positioned himself to intervene if necessary. Kara was shaking and started sobbing again. Nora stepped towards her and hugged her, letting Kara cry on her shoulder. Ted was amazed. Nora sat Kara down on the couch, maintaining contact. There was room for Ted too, so he sat next to Kara and hugged her as well. Kara sobbed, gasping for air. She sobbed, "Such a fool. Sorry, such a fool." Kara's crying subsided. She stood up a bit and asked Ted, "Do you think the hot water is ready?" "Maybe," and got up to take another shower. After she emptied the tank again, Ted gave her a pill, and she fell asleep on their bed. Ted and Nora went to the guest bedroom. They didn't want to leave Kara alone in the house. They watched the news. At 10, Diamond's homicide was widely reported. As it turned out, Diamond had many affairs with married women who mostly worked for him in one way or another, so Ted was far from the only suspect. Later on CNN, it turned out that some people also had business reasons for eliminating Diamond. Finally, there were suggestions online that Diamond's wife could be involved. Ted turned off all media. After 11, he and Nora went to bed. Neither of them really wanted to have lovemaking at first, but Nora was silent. Ted woke up early and checked on Kara. She slept until 9, then took a shower. At 10, all three were sitting at breakfast, eating pancakes that Nora had whipped up. Mozart started playing on Nora's phone. She answered, and it was the police to arrange an interview. Nora asked Kara and Ted, "Should I ask them to come here?" Kara nodded. "We can get the latest news." At 11, detectives Harvey and Blaine came and took Nora to a private room to take a statement. This took about 25 minutes. Then they all met in the living room. Kara asked, "Any news about who did this?" Blaine said, "Not yet. Many people had a motive, including you, Mr. Vincent." "We've already discussed this," Ted frowned. "Yes, well, thank you all for your cooperation," Harvey said. They left. Robin called and said the police were coming to take a statement. They were polite but persistent and scrupulous. Ted told her he would see Miles at work. All three were somewhat confused, not knowing what to do. "Should I leave?" asked Nora. Kara said, "No, I understand Ted might want you to stay." Ted nodded. They all sat on the back patio drinking coffee. Kara's calm returned, but she seemed sad. Ted and Nora seemed to be expecting more problems. Kara held her temples. "I keep seeing him dead. He still didn't move. I wonder if I'll always see this." Nora seemed to want to console her. "In my course on the psychology of grief, they said that images are the most persistent thing, but over time they fade and are erased." "I really hope so," Kara's voice broke. "Do you have news from work?" Ted asked. "No. I worked directly for Byron. I acted as a sort of dealer for the goods sent to him. I let him see some things, but took care of other things myself. Whoever takes his place will need someone like me." "Who will it be?" asked Nora. "My only guess is Miranda. I know what was in his will because I signed it as a witness. She gets everything except some things for his mom." "Okay? Do you want to work there?" "Yes. Like I said, I need to support myself." "Huh." Ted looked at Nora. "Well, until you get back on your feet. Did you two sleep in the house last night?" "It's clear that this bothered Kara." Nora nodded. "In the guest room. I hope this continues for some time until I get back on my feet." There was a double meaning in Kara's words, and neither Ted nor Nora missed it. Ted didn't mind. Everything will work out on its own, and the girls will be back briefly next week. "Nora, they told me you went to their game," Kara remembered. "Yes, it was exciting. I missed it," Kara sobbed again. "I feel like such a fool. He had a whole string of women. He manipulated us all." "Well, he was a handsome prick. You made a big mistake." Nora tried to calm her down a little. "I think you've been unhappy for a while," Ted said. Here at home, not at work." Kara thought and said, "This is true. I don't know what caused it. Maybe something like, the grass is greener. Then a big hole opened up and swallowed my life." She stood up and ran inside. After a while, the clink of pots and pans was heard. Kara baked a chocolate cake that was ready by noon. Eventually, Nora and Ted came into the kitchen and began to watch, talking incoherently about something. They ate sandwiches while the cake cooled enough to frost it. So the day continued. Nora made burgers for dinner, and Kara made a salad. The three of them did something, but hardly talked about the future. Kara went to bed at 9 o'clock. Twice she woke up from nightmares, once screaming. Ted came in and calmed her down. The next morning, Tuesday, Nora had to go to work. Ted also wanted to go to the office, but he was worried about Kara. While he was thinking, Kara's phone rang. It was Miranda. Kara put her phone on speaker. "Will you come to work today?" "I have a job." "Yes, I understand the situation is difficult, but something has to be done, and you can't be replaced right away. So despite your stupidity about Byron, I need your help." Kara looked at Ted. He nodded. "I can be there in an hour." "Fine. Come to the house. Walk behind so you don't get caught." Kara met Miranda in the office on the second floor. Miranda extended her hand for a handshake, and Kara accepted it. Miranda began, "I'm curious, before we get down to business, why Byron was able to get his hands on you. I saw your husband. Did he disappoint you?" "Oh no, but Byron looked so good." "Yes, but that was not the case. Not that good, actually. I've already begun to understand this. Not bad, but no more. Best case scenario, he had a tendency to fade. Perhaps you and he have not reached this stage yet. Maybe. Well, let's get started. The two of them worked all day, bringing Miranda up to date. They also considered how to handle Byron's affairs, but the body had not yet been returned. At 6 in the evening, Miranda looked up from her work and asked, "Can you stay for dinner? We still have a lot to do." "Certainly. I have Ted and his girlfriend at home." "That's what I heard. She's pretty." "Yes, and young. He slept with her the first night I left. So they are really connected." "Looks like it. My girls like her too." Miranda looked at Kara and smiled. "Well, if you need some relief, I can lend you one of my boy toys. They know how to satisfy a woman." Kara blushed. "Miranda, thank you, but I'm not ready yet. Just let me know. You know, now that we women are running the company, maybe the guys will have to make room." "Is there anything you need?" "Well, if it comes to that, a toy boy will do. I don't want to destroy any family." "You're too cute, Kara." They ate, and Kara went home. At 9:30, Miranda gave her a significant raise. Ted and Nora were interested to see how Kara was doing at work, given the complexity of the situation. Kara described her day and the work she had to do, and she told them about her promotion. "So I won't be a burden. Looks like I can support myself." It sounded pretty bleak. Ted said, I... Kara interrupted. "You know, Miranda offered me a boy toy to use if I needed it. I refused for now." Nora gasped. "Really? How do they look?" Ted was a little annoyed by this, but said nothing. "I don't know. I didn't even know Miranda had them." For the next 6 weeks, Kara worked for Miranda 6 days a week, either in the office or at her home. The work was moving forward. Ted started getting divorced about 2 weeks later. This came as no surprise to Kara or the twins. Miranda hired Kara a lawyer, but the details were easy to work out. The parties agreed and signed a few weeks later. The twins stayed in the house with Ted and Nora. Kara didn't mind that much. She gradually moved towards peaceful coexistence with her daughters. They often spent their days off with her. Ted and Nora returned to the main house. Nora gave up her apartment. Essentially, she took on the role of mother to the girls. The situation became more and more comfortable. One night, Nora and Ted, having completed another pleasant session of lovemaking, snuggled up to each other. "Nora, do you want to get married?" Nora tensed. She looked at him. "Yes." They kissed. Nora said, "I want children too." She looked at Ted with some trepidation. He hugged Nora. Redipping into diaper changing. Okay." They kissed again. They got married 6 months later. 2 months later, Nora became pregnant. Meanwhile, the police investigation into the sensational homicide of a millionaire reached a dead end. Gradually, the crime disappeared from public view. From time to time, some journalists raised this topic, and it faded again. Authorities spent a lot of time checking the alibis of everyone they thought had a motive, including the 6 husbands. They got nowhere. Some had no alibis or weak ones, but the police did not have the results of an examination of the prints on the rifle and indeed no concrete evidence, and there were no witnesses, despite numerous public appeals to people who may have been on a side trail near the shooting site. The police checked Miranda. She was with 2 young men several miles from the shooting scene. They checked to see if she had ordered the shot. Even though the shooting did not appear to be professionally executed, nothing was found, perhaps because there was nothing to look for. Their attention to Ted quickly faded. Miles had a very convincing alibi as a traveling salesman. In the end, the matter went into dormant mode, slightly reminding itself from time to time. Soon, Kara became absolutely indispensable to Miranda and the company. She was smart, passionate, and knew more about operations than anyone else, with the possible exception of the late Byron. One Saturday afternoon, Miranda and Kara were getting ready to go out. Kara had a room in the house. She went upstairs to take a shower. Until now, she had never gone to the pool. Miranda had no problems with the pool. It bothered Miranda that Kara had an issue with the pool. So that Saturday, Miranda found Kara drying herself with a towel after her shower and tossed her a robe. "Come with me," Miranda said. Kara was confused, but Miranda was the boss. She followed her. Miranda walked to the door that led outside to the pool. Kara stopped. Miranda said harshly, "I have a treat for you, but you have to go outside to get it." Kara hesitated, but then she thought maybe it was time to step outside. There were 2 sun loungers by the pool. Miranda walked past them, and Kara followed. There were 2 young men there, both undressed, both beautiful and well-endowed. One was black, the other white, but well-tanned. Kara was stunned. Miranda said, You haven't slept since the shooting happened. This is Damon. And this is Chad. You have a choice, but you must choose one." Kara stood there looking at the men. She got excited, opened her robe, and threw it on the floor. She slowly walked towards Damon, staring at him. "Hello, Damon. My name is Kara." Damon smiled. "Nice to meet you, Kara." Kara and Damon put on quite a show for Miranda and Chad, who were just watching. Miranda and Chad gave them a round of applause. And that's how Kara's fear of the pool was overcome. Kara's life changed dramatically, but not in a bad way. She had her choice of boy toys and a job she loved. She spent Sundays with her daughters and sometimes with Ted and Nora. When Nora gave birth to little Bryce, Kara was thrilled, but a little jealous. Ted and Nora were very happy too. One day, when the women were alone, Nora asked Kara about her bed life, and Kara told her. Clearly, Nora's lovemaking with Ted was exciting that night. This had subsided a bit since the baby was born. Now Nora was back into the rhythm. From time to time, Nora and Kara would start another conversation. This was always enough. Kara thought of it as a family ministry that she was happy to do, some compensation to Ted for her blunder. Soon, baby Nikki appeared. As they say, all's well that ends well. One evening, after all the children had gone to bed, Robin found herself walking around the backyard with Ted. She stopped at the guest house and turned to him. "Nora and I like each other," she said. "I'm pleased," Ted smiled. "You know, back then you could have had me. But I chose Miles. Do you know why? I could never understand you. You have inner anger. Maybe from your parents. You're hiding it, but it's always been there. And I still love you." "Maybe so. Maybe. I rarely think about it." "I think sometimes. And yet you have created a good life for yourself and your loved ones, and for Miles, and me too." "But Ted, I saw Miles handing you your phone after your bike ride." "I saw. I didn't immediately realize what this meant. You took a hell of a risk, and so did Miles. One damn chance." Ted was silent for a moment, looking at Robin. "Do you think I should get some counseling?" Robin smiled. "Do not do that. It's you. So it was and will be. And remember, Miles and I still love you." The weeks passed. The police investigation was at a standstill, and the diamond case was slowly being forgotten by the public. Ted and Nora continued their life together, happy with their growing family. Kara remained an integral part of the business and found her own happiness, albeit in an unconventional way. The twins adapted well to the changes, supported by the loving presence of both their parents. In the end, life moved on for all involved. They each found their way, forging new paths and finding solace in the present, leaving the past behind. In this complex web of relationships and emotions, they discovered a new kind of harmony, one that allowed them all to coexist and thrive.